This review is for the book Fluke, written by James Herbert in 1977. Let me start off by saying that James Herbert is my favorite author. He's been called the British Stephen King. If you've read The Fog, Rats, or The Survivor, you'd know why. I recommend all three of those books to any hardcore horror fans. I will review them also, but I started off with the one that I hadn't read yet. I do own every book he's written. I picked Fluke because it has a creepy looking dog on the cover, and I was hoping to get an intense tale that would be just as good as Cujo. Fluke is nowhere near as good as that classic. Let's get to the plot and then I'll tell you if I liked it or not. It's about a man who is reincarnated as a dog. It's an interesting idea, because there are some religions that believe that we are reincarnated as an animal after our human life. The story is told by the dog, and he explains how it's like to smell, see, and basically live as a dog. He becomes friends with an older dog named Rumbo, who teaches him how to survive. He realizes he can see ghosts. In Chapter 9, he's given the name Fluke after doing some tricks for some construction workers. They were gambling on him, and finally he decides not to do tricks, and they lose their money to their boss, and they give him the name Fluke. About 100 pages into this 200-plus page book, he finally decides to find his family. He knows he had a wife and daughter, and he knows what town he's from. He ends up finding them and figures out that he was killed. The last quarter of the book is about him trying to solve the mystery of his death. Who killed him? Why? Does he get revenge? As interesting as this idea is, I just don't think it was pulled off well. Some of the better things in the story that could have made it really good aren't developed, like the fact that he can see ghosts. Anyone that knows a little bit about paranormal knows that animals supposedly can sense spirits. The fact that the dog can see ghosts is touched on, but it's not a main part of the story. The story kept me interested, but it just wasn't strong. In fact, I will say it's pretty boring. Because I've read almost all of James Herbert's books, I know how scary his stories can be. Compared to the other stuff I've read, this is my least favorite. I'm not going to say it's not worth reading, just read the others that I mentioned first, because if you don't, you really won't know how great James Herbert is. That's all I got on that one. I give it a 2.0 out of 5. My next book review will be a vampire novel called Bottom Feeder by B.H. Fingerman, and so far that one's really good.